Have you ever looked at the world and wondered if things have gone too far? The noise, the anger, and the chaos are just too much? It's a feeling many of us have had. But this isn't a new feeling. Thousands of years ago, the world reached a breaking point, a moment so intense that it led to a reset of epic proportions. 8. This is the story of Noah, a man who found grace in a world that had lost its way. The Bible tells us that God looked down upon the earth and saw that humanity's wickedness had become overwhelming. It wasn't just a few bad deeds here and there. It says that every inclination of their thoughts was only evil all the time. Imagine a world so consumed by negativity and violence that its very creator felt a deep sense of regret for even making humankind. It was a world drowning in its own corruption long before the first drop of rain fell. So, a decision was made. Flood was coming, a flood to wipe the slate clean. God declared, "I will wipe humankind, whom I have created, from the face of the earth." This great cleansing would include not just people, but animals, birds, and every creature that moved upon the ground. It was a heart-wrenching decision born from immense disappointment. But amidst all this darkness, there was a single point of light. A man named Noah, the scriptures say. But Noah found favor in the sight of the Lord. What made Noah so different? He was described as a godly man, blameless among the people of his time. Most importantly, it says he walked with God. This wasn't about being perfect. It was about relationship. In a world that had turned its back on its creator, Noah walked with him. He listened. He obeyed. Because of this unique relationship, God chose Noah for an incredible, seemingly impossible task. He told Noah, "I have decided that all living creatures must die, for the earth is filled with violence because of them." But Noah and his family would be saved. How? By building an ark? And these weren't just simple instructions. God gave Noah a precise blueprint. Make for yourself an ark of cypress wood. Make rooms in it and cover it with pitch inside and out. The dimensions were staggering: 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high. To put that in perspective, that's about 1.5 football fields long and over 4 stories tall. A massive, floating fortress built not by a team of shipwrights, but by one man and his 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. God's instructions went beyond architecture. He was creating a floating sanctuary, a vessel of hope. You will enter the ark, your sons, your wife, and your sons' wives with you, and they wouldn't be alone. You must bring into the ark 2 of every kind of living creature from all flesh, male and female, to keep them alive with you, from the smallest creeping thing to the mightiest beast. A pair of each would come to Noah. They were also to gather every kind of food, enough to sustain this incredible floating zoo for an unknown period. Can you imagine the scene? Noah building this colossal boat on dry land, far from any sea. The whispers, the ridicule, the sheer absurdity of it all to his neighbors. Yet the Bible gives a simple, powerful summary of his response. And Noah did all that God commanded him. He did indeed. He trusted, even when it made no sense. He built, even when he was mocked. He gathered, even when the skies were clear. The ark neared completion. The final countdown began. God gave Noah his last command before the world changed forever. "Come into the ark, you and all your household, for I consider you godly among this generation." There was a specific detail about the animals: 7 pairs of every clean animal and bird, and 1 pair of every unclean animal. This was to ensure there would be enough for sacrifice, and for the animal population to flourish again after the flood. Then came the chilling timeline. "For in 7 days I will cause it to rain on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights, 1 week. That's all the time they had left. And once again, Noah did all that the Lord commanded him. The day finally came. Noah was 600 years old. He, his wife, his sons, and their wives walked up the ramp and into the ark. Then, in an orderly, miraculous procession, the animals came. Pairs of every kind, just as God had commanded, entered the ark with Noah. And when the last creature was safely inside, a profound and final act took place. The Bible says, "Then the Lord shut him in." It wasn't Noah who closed the door. It was God himself. He sealed them in, safe from the world outside, and sealed the world outside from the hope within. For 7 days, they waited in the silent belly of the ark, and then it began. On the 17th day of the 2nd month of Noah's 600th year, the world broke apart. All the fountains of the great deep burst open, and the floodgates of the heavens were opened. This wasn't just rain. Water erupted from the ground and poured from the sky. For 40 days and 40 nights the deluge was relentless. The water level rose with terrifying speed. The ark, once a bizarre monument on dry land, began to stir. It lifted, it floated, it rose above the earth. The waters grew so powerful that they overwhelmed everything. The highest mountains were submerged, covered by more than 20 feet of water. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Every living thing on the surface of the earth, people, animals, birds, was wiped away. The world that had been so full of life and chaos fell silent, covered by a global ocean. Only one vessel of life remained. The Bible states it plainly. Only Noah and those who were with him in the ark survived. For 150 days, the waters prevailed over the entire earth. 150 days, 5 months. Imagine the isolation, the rocking of the waves, the sounds of the animals, floating in a wooden vessel above a drowned world. But they were not forgotten. Scriptures tell us, but God remembered Noah. It's a beautiful phrase. In the midst of universal destruction, God remembered his promise to one faithful family. And just as he had commanded the flood to begin, God commanded it to end. He sent a wind to blow over the earth, and the waters began to recede. The fountains of the deep and the floodgates of heaven were closed. The rain stopped. Slowly, painstakingly, the water level dropped. On the 17th day of the 7th month, a gentle bump. The ark had come to rest on the mountains of Ararat. They were on solid ground, even if they couldn't see it yet. The waters continued to recede, and 3 months later, the tops of the mountains finally became visible. After 40 more days of waiting, Noah opened a window he had made in the ark. He needed to know if it was safe. First, he sent out a raven. The strong scavenger bird flew back and forth over the waters, able to survive until the ground was dry. Then Noah sent out a dove. But the world was still a watery landscape, and the dove couldn't find a single place to rest its feet. It returned to the ark, and Noah gently took it back inside. He waited another 7 days. He sent the dove out again. This time, as evening fell, the dove returned, and in its beak was a freshly plucked olive leaf. It was the first sign of new life, a symbol of peace and renewal. It was proof that the judgment was over and the earth was beginning to heal. Noah now knew the waters had receded significantly. He waited 1 more week and sent the dove out a final time. It did not return. It had found a new home in a new world. On the first day of Noah's 601st year, he removed the covering of the ark. He looked out and saw that the surface of the ground was dry. Nearly 2 more months passed before the earth was completely dry. Then, the voice of God spoke to him once more. "Come out of the ark, you, your wife, your sons, and your sons' wives with you. Bring out every living creature. Let them increase and be fruitful and multiply on the earth." The great door was opened. Noah, his family, and every animal, bird, and creeping thing walked out of the ark and onto the clean, empty earth. Their first act was not to build a home or plant a field, but to worship. Noah built an altar to the Lord, and taking some of the clean animals he had brought, he offered a sacrifice of thanksgiving. The aroma was described as soothing to the Lord, who then made a promise to himself and to all creation. "I will never again curse the ground because of humankind. I will never again destroy everything that lives, as I have just done." He established the rhythm of the new world, planting and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night. These cycles would not cease. God then blessed Noah and his sons, repeating the original command from creation. "Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth." He established a new order between humans and animals and set down new rules for living, including a profound respect for the sanctity of life, because humankind was made in God's image. Finally, God established an everlasting covenant, a formal promise not just to Noah, but to all his descendants and to every living creature. Never again will all living things be wiped out by the waters of a flood. Never again will a flood destroy the earth. And to seal this incredible promise, God created a sign, symbol of his mercy, that we can still see today. He said, "I will place my rainbow in the clouds, and it will become a guarantee of the covenant between me and the earth. When the rainbow is in the clouds, I will notice it and remember the perpetual covenant. So the next time you see a rainbow gracing the sky after a storm, remember the story of Noah. Remember the man who walked with God in a chaotic world, the impossible ark, and the promise of a new beginning. It's not just a beautiful arc of light. It's a divine reminder of faithfulness, redemption, and a promise that no matter how dark the storm, the waters will recede and hope will endure. Thanks for journeying with us through this epic story. If you found this meaningful, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel,